So when we're looking at images, obviously Illustrator is not a dedicated image editing application like Photoshop, but you can do certain things with images and we need to know how to do those. So the first thing is placing an image. So I'm going to file place, and I'll go and find this image. You'll see that once I've chosen that image, it's going to give me a little preview thumbnail. Now if I just click, it's going to bring the image in at its actual size, in this case huge. So I'm going to undo that, and instead of clicking, I'm going to choose the same image and I'm going to drag to place the image. Now if you look at the image, it's placed and it says here unembed. That means this image is embedded in this document. It means it will travel with this document. If I take this Illustrator file to another computer and I open it, the image will be there. Now that is generally a desirable result, but let's move this over here and let's try a different approach. This time, place, and I'm going to choose that image and I'm going to say link. If I place now, you will see that it comes in with this cross through it, which is your visual indicator that this image is not embedded, it's linked. Now what that means is that this image is linked to the original image, which means if I go and do some kind of edit to the original image, it's going to update here. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take this image and I'm going to go to Window, Links, and you can see here it's showing me the one is embedded and the one is linked. And I'm going to go to my options and I'm going to say edit in Photoshop, just to show you how this works. Okay, now if I do some sort of edit here, I'm going to, let's just make it black and white and save it, switch back to Illustrator, and it's going to, okay, it is saved. Here we go. It says some files are missing or modified. Would you like to update them now? You generally don't want to say no, because then you're kind of losing that connection. I'm going to say yes. And you can see the linked image changes, the embedded image doesn't. So there are advantages to linking images. However, it requires an extra level of management of files because your images have to travel with your Illustrator file and not embedded in the Illustrator file. I'm just going to switch back to Photoshop and undo that and save again so that I've got the original image back. There we go. Okay, if I link an image and then I realize I should have embedded it, you just select it and you say embed, and then that image becomes part of the document. You can unembed an image. Okay, I'm just going to choose my desktop and say unembed, and the image will be saved there and then linked. I'm just going to re-embed it. Okay, there are certain things you can do to embedded images that you can't do to linked images, for example, image trace and stuff like that. So I would say most of the time you want to embed your images, but if you're, say, for example, doing a brochure and you've got images that you might want to change depending on different issues, then linking is actually a sensible thing to do. Okay, so that's linking and embedding. What if we want to crop an image? So I'll just get rid of one of these and let's just take this one. So if you have an image in Illustrator, you can crop it, you can mask it. So masking, let's look at that first, means that I am creating a clipping mask, but the original image is there. So you'll see over here I have these two options, edit clipping path, edit contents. If I click on edit contents, I can now move that image around inside that mask. If I choose edit mask, I'm now moving the whole thing around. So that is masking. It's non-destructive. Cropping is, let's just go all the way back. Cropping is destructive. So if I say crop and I now crop this down, and I say apply, that is a destructive process. It's deleted all the pixels that I didn't want and it's now cropped us down. And then clipping is something else. So if I take a shape, let's just, well, I'll choose an ellipse and I draw a shape on top and I select the shape in the image and I right click and I say make clipping mask, it's going to clip that image into that shape. So that's clipping. Just one caveat about clipping: if I have, let's say, two shapes here like that, and I want the image to clip into those, grouping them is not going to do it. I have to convert them into a compound path. So I'm going to take these two shapes, object, compound path, make. It's just telling Illustrator, treat this as one object. Now take the image as well and make clipping mask, and then it will clip it into both of those shapes. So that's just one thing extra you have to do if you've got multiple shapes that you want to clip one image into. All right, let's get rid of these. Okay, effects. So if I take this image and go to the effect menu, you can see that I've got lots of effects here that I can apply. I'm not going to go through them all. You can experiment and have fun with them. One of the ones that's pretty cool is color halftone. So if I wanted to turn this into kind of a comic book style image, let's push the size up here. You can see that it creates that kind of halftone effect. So these are all effects that you will find in your appearance panel here, where you can turn them off and on, so they're non-destructive. I'll just undo that. So you can experiment with effects and have some fun with it. And then finally, image trace. I have covered this in another video, but I want to cover it here as well. So image trace is a way of tracing photos or drawings. It's probably better at working with high contrast photos, but on a case-by-case basis, you'll get a good result or a not so good result. So in this case, I'm going to take this, let's say I wanted to turn this into a little icon for my website. So if I take it and I say image trace, and then I'm going to go to, I'll close the links panel here, I'm going to go to my options for image trace. I'm going to adjust the threshold until I get just the wings like that. Okay, that's what I want. And I'm also going to say ignore the background white. And once I've got that, I'm going to say expand. So now I've got this nice kind of icon type thing, but it's still a little bit too complex, too many points. So we've learned how to simplify already. So simplify and settings, and let's take it right down. So I have reduced it from 2,400 points to 802 points, and OK. And then I'm also going to go back to path and smooth, and I'm going to adjust the smoothness so that it's got a much more hand-drawn kind of vector look. Okay, so that is an option with images, is to vectorize them. But just bear in mind that vectorizing is not the same as creating shapes with your pen tool and your construction tools, which is always going to give you a much better path if you know what you're doing. Okay, so those are just some of the things you can do with images. It's not all of them. But just to bear in mind that when you're creating layouts in Illustrator, you're generally going to work with vector and images together.